I'm 23, and I work at an exotic pet shop that also offers boarding services for reptiles and other unusual pets. We get a lot of customers who love their animals but need help caring for them while they're away. One of those customers owned a bearded dragon. When they first bought her about a year and a half ago, she was a healthy subadult. The family had done a lot of research, asked all the right questions, and seemed like they'd be great owners. I was happy to see her go home with them. Fast forward to a few months ago. She was dropped off for boarding again, but this time I noticed something alarming. She was severely underweight. Her tail looked thin, her hips were sticking out, and her eyes didn't have the same brightness. I mentioned my concerns to the owners, but they brushed it off. They insisted she looked the same as before, was eating fine, and was perfectly healthy. I didn't push the issue, but I couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. Then, just a few days ago, they brought her in for boarding again. I wasn't working that day, but my boss saw her and was immediately concerned. He gave her medicine, placed her in a hospital enclosure, and told me to check on her when I came in. The next morning, I walked into the shop, and the smell hit me instantly, the unmistakable stench of death. My heart sank as I approached her enclosure. She was gone. Her body was so thin you could literally see the outline of her bones. Her eyes were crusted over, and her skin looked dry and lifeless. I called the number they had left in our boarding log. It went straight to voicemail 3 times. Frustrated and upset, I left a message. I told them the lizard had passed away, and that I wanted to talk about her care. I said she looked incredibly emaciated, like she hadn't received proper care in months, and I asked them to call me back right away. My tone was firm, but I wasn't yelling or insulting them. An hour later, my boss called me to say the owners had contacted him, complaining that I was rude and disrespectful, and that my voicemail was uncalled for. He asked me exactly what I said, so I repeated it word for word. His response was just, okay. No lecture, no siding with them, just okay. The next morning, the mom and her 19-year-old son came into the shop to pick up the lizard's body. Right away, the mom told me I had no right to speak to her like that. She said I didn't know their circumstances and that accusing them of neglect was wrong. I told her that when you choose to own a pet and call it part of the family, it should never look the way hers did. I looked at the son and said, I understood life can get busy, but if you can't care for an animal, you either need to make a better routine or find it a new home. He swore she was fine just a week ago. I told him, this doesn't happen in a week. You should have taken her to a vet or rehomed her. Her condition was unacceptable. They didn't respond, just took the lizard and left. I haven't heard from them since. I've replayed the whole thing in my head. Maybe I was blunt. Maybe I could have softened my words, but I was also grieving for this animal that suffered unnecessarily. Part of my job is to educate owners on proper care, and watching an animal die because someone failed to meet basic needs is infuriating. Was I supposed to just hand her back without saying anything? Pretend she hadn't been neglected? Some people might say I overstepped by accusing them outright. Others would argue that telling them the truth was the only responsible thing to do. I'm still torn. Was I too harsh, or was I simply being honest in defense of an animal who couldn't speak for herself? Am I the asshole for saying what I said? Thanks for listening, and if you want to hear more interesting stories, just click the link below.